Hey, chicken nugget, did you ever ask yourself what the heck is happening in this continent that people call Antarctica? Why is it always frozen? And why does it look just like this? And also, why is there a whole thing called the Antarctica Treaty where every single country, look at this, every single country agreed that, hey guys, no one's ever going to touch this land. Even though we're still going to be fighting on every other land, Antarctica, we're just not going to touch it. Why is that, man? This is what we're going to be seeing in this video right here.
There's an entire advanced civilization there, including some of the largest pyramids on Earth, right in Antarctica. He said he flew into an area that opened up at Antarctica, and he went into an area where it was lush and tropical almost. We have a new enemy that can fly from pole to pole with extreme speed. And he says they come and go as they please because nobody can stop them.
Listen. Don't come here and tell me, oh, Mohammed, you're becoming too much of a conspiracy theorist. Like, are you not curious about the world? You should read more about the world and see what's like. Why is there a whole continent frozen, but there's still bases, like military bases in there of people doing research, of people doing this. If it's so frozen, if it's so cold, if it's so harsh, why is there people doing research? And plus, why are there stories of people going in there and then seeing they're like, wait, hold on a minute, like it's frozen, but when you go beyond the ice, there's land that's green, there's people. Like it's interesting. Also, on top of that, they say Hitler. You remember that guy, Hitler? They were like, this guy was able to go to somehow he was able to when he went to the Antarctica, he found the Aryan race, the Aryan people, and then he came back with great technology. That's why they were able to build that big thing, and even like the UFO, the flying thing, the flying disc, that was actually created by those people themselves, the German people themselves back in the day. So how did they know how to do all of that, all of these things? Plus, when they say Hitler, when he died, some people are like, he didn't even die. He went to Argentina. Did he really go to Argentina, or was it Antarctica? All these questions, man. So why is this even important for you? Because once you know what's happening there, you'll know it's like this world is not the same as you see on social media. It's not the same as you see on the TV. It's not the same that you see or that you know that you learned about in the past back in high school or university.
There is a situation that began to happen during World War II where they discovered that the Nazis had went down to Antarctica and built a base down there, New Schwabenland. They were like, wait a minute, why in the world would they go to this desolate place? What's down there that they would want to go through the harsh weather and risk everything, risk even their lives to be down there and build a base? Now, there's an incredible story that was in Admiral Byrd's diary.
This guy, right? I talked about this guy back then, but I just forgot his name. Admiral Byrd. So this guy, apparently, he had an interview, and then as soon as he died, I don't know if it was like a year after he died. I don't even know if it was a year, honestly. But then that's when they say NASA was formed. And then that's where the Antarctic Treaty was formed, where no one is allowed to go to Antarctica unless you have authority with you. Now they say you can spend $10,000 per day to take a ship and then go to Antarctica, but they're not going to take you deep. They're just going to take you on the perimeter of the continent, and that's it. So don't be saying, no, but there are people that go to Antarctica. Yeah, there are people that go to Antarctica, but they don't go like deep. Like Mr. Beast, he went to Antarctica. Did he go deep? No, he didn't. There was an Arab guy as well, like a Muslim guy, who also went to Antarctica, and he has the entire documentary on YouTube. Did he go deep? No, he didn't. No one's ever allowed to go deep. Why? They say because of the harsh weather and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't even think it's because of that, to be honest.
That was found by his kids, where he said he flew into an area that opened up at Antarctica, and he went into an area where it was lush and tropical almost. And as he got into this area, this is according to his own diary, people can look this up, something took over his plane, and these two UFO type craft, circular craft, flying saucers came, and it took over his craft and it guided him in to this area where they landed. And then they took him to meet somebody that he calls in his diary, the Master. Pretty interesting story. And according to this account, the Nazis had gotten help to create these craft called the Habibi. They had 4 versions of this craft, these circular disc craft, from these people down there. The guy, this Master, told him that they were wary of the nuclear bombs that had just, been utilized. dropped a nuke on Japan and so forth. And they were wary of our experimentation with nuclear devices and wars because they're sharing this planet as well. Pretty interesting story.
It's interesting, right? Showing like a globe. I just noticed all my recent videos have been actually about globe Earth, which is pretty interesting, right? So then they say this guy went to Antarctica. He saw the UFO flying and stuff. But the Nazis, they were actually the first on Earth to create those flying things. So there's a deep connection between the Nazis being in Antarctica and then getting some knowledge from there and then using it. By the way, if you ever see old maps of the past, you will see that they never used to draw Antarctica as a place that had ice in it, that had snow in it. It's actually placed just like a land, just like any other land. But it's interesting. This whole stuff is interesting, man.
And so, all of a sudden, Admiral Byrd's going down there with a fleet. Not just a small fleet. He took over 3,000 people with him. This was a huge expedition. It was a military expedition. When he got down there, they had a situation where some of these flying objects were attacking some of their ships and actually destroyed some of them. Sent him back home packing with his tail between his legs. This is one of the top admirals, literally the top admiral in the world at the time for the United States military. He said that we have a new enemy that can fly from pole to pole with extreme speed. Why would he make a statement like that? And then all of a sudden, these Nazi, they are rumored to have these craft, which some of the designs have been found, called Hanabu. And these Hanabu craft had the capability of utilizing a couple different forms of propulsion. One was jets, so they can take off vertically. They had little jets that would thrust and take off vertically, but then from there they can shoot off horizontally. Well, they were using a device that was spinning in the center of the craft, and what it appears to be is they began to copy technology from the ancient Indian invaders, because Hitler was sending his people all around the world to get knowledge on ancient technology. That's how they found these people in Antarctica. He even sent people to Tibet, Nazis to Tibet.
By the way, listen. I want you to think of something, right? This Hitler guy, right? This guy, before he rose to power, he was homeless. Not just homeless, but like he had nothing on him. And then through like a few years after that, he joined like a club, which was, I think it was the Nazi club, and he started speaking more. The more he was speaking, the more people were like, wait, this guy is actually right about a lot of things that we think but we never say. So then people started following him more and more. Slowly, this guy, through speaking, through like getting an audience charged up emotionally, he started rising more to power. So eventually he became the leader. So people liked his party, so then he became the leader. And then just by himself, like imagine single-handedly by himself, he went from a homeless person to now all of a sudden he conquered most of Europe. Do you really think one person can do all of that just by themselves? He took Germany from a place that was economically horrible. And now all of a sudden, like after World War I, Germany was horrible, by the way. So he took it from here all the way to here, conquering almost all of Europe. So it just shows you, it's like the stuff that man knew. First of all, they say history is written by the winners, not how it's actually happened. So I believe, bro, there's a lot of things that Hitler did that most people don't even know what he did. And don't even know, like where did he even get some of the knowledge that he had from? But then also it's like, how the heck did he rise to power in such a short amount of time and conquering almost all of Europe? So I truly believe it's like he took some of that knowledge, or some of the knowledge, some of the tactics that he had somewhere way outside of Germany. So him getting that knowledge from Antarctica is like something that it's not even like unbelievable, to be honest.
Tibet to talk to the people in Tibet to find out about this ancient technology. He found out about Vimanas, and these people supposedly in Antarctica helped him develop a couple of them, where they use a ferrofluid vortex engine. A ferrofluid is a liquid metal like mercury. And in the ancient Indian invaders, if you take mercury and rotate it at a high rotation, a high RPM, and electrify it, you get something called anti-gravity. So he was utilizing something that had rotating discs underneath these round craft, according to eyewitness accounts, and also the schematics that were discovered during the collapse of Nazi Germany. And it's pretty interesting that I think besides the uranium that's down there in Antarctica, which obviously you know what uranium's used for, right? Nuclear power plants and also nuclear weapons. There's mountains. Admiral Byrd said there were mountains of coal with no ice caps. No ice caps, his exact words. And I can give you a copy to this video. His own mouth is saying, no ice. Mountains of coal that can satisfy the world's need for coal for a very, very, very long time.
Do you believe me now when I say that this entire Earth is actually, it has unlimited resources? It has an abundance of resources. So like oil, for example, it's unlimited. Don't be thinking that oil is like something scarce and you have to put a price on it and it's like so valuable to the point that you can't even find it. Oil is actually as abundant as water. Coal, just like what he's saying. Coal is not something that's also scarce. Anything that comes from the earth naturally, it's abundance. It's abundant. It never ends. There's a whole ayah as well that says that we've created the earth and the skies and we're still expanding. We're still expanding. When you're expanding, do you expand vertically or horizontally? Obviously horizontally, because this is extend. This is expand. So then when you're expanding, obviously you're going to be expanding horizontally. So this is why I made this whole video about, I'm like, the globe model, there's a lot of faults within the globe model. And you might also hate me for saying that, but just do some research, read a few books, and then you'll just see it's like, yeah, you know what? Hold on a minute. Like this does have some faults in it. And why is it that, like you've been told of the globe model? Because of Antarctica. If you figure out the secret of Antarctica, that's when you'll see it's like everything that you've been taught the entire time was wrong. That's why I've been saying the entire time, be your own person, be independent, have your own food, have your own self-defense, have your own even electricity. Know how to like create electricity by yourself. So I'm hoping I'm actually going to start making more videos about that if you're interested.
Also, there's plutonium down there. Again, so uranium and plutonium, we know that if you have a high level of plutonium and uranium, it's one of the easier elements that you can separate the atoms. You can split atoms very easily, which makes it high use for weaponry and also power plants. So that's why the government wanted access down there. That's why the Germans wanted access down there. And that's why after Germany fell, we had Project Paperclip, where we took all the scientists from Germany that had learned all this wisdom and knowledge, and we brought them to America. People think Project Paperclip was just a small number of Nazis. We took over 2,000 Nazis with us and brought them to America and put them in positions of power over technology companies, the CIA, the space program at NASA, and so forth and so on. And we began to develop these technologies. So in a weird kind of way, America became the Fourth Reich, to be honest with you. And I know that they were developing at the time.
Hold on a minute. This guy just said that they took Nazi scientists, brought them to the US, made them join NASA. Does this not tell you, it's like, what are the chances of them taking those scientists? These scientists, they know what's within Antarctica, right? Listen, this might sound crazy, but just listen. You know, I sound like one of those conspiracy theorists. Listen, bro, just listen. Like they took them, then they were like, okay, now create this whole idea that like Antarctica, there's nothing down there. It's just frozen. It's just ice. It's just nothingness. Just so that people divert their attention away from this place that has all the value in the world. Again, man, this might sound like a conspiracy. Doesn't matter.
Hanabu number 4, which supposedly Hitler never got killed. He escaped in Hanabu number 4 to Argentina, which is very, very close to where? Antarctica.
Yeah, look, why do they say Argentina? Specifically Argentina. It's the closest country to Antarctica.
If you look at Google Sky right now on the computer and look down on Antarctica, you'll find bases from research bases from every major country in the world there. And you'll also find the Rockefeller Foundation base as well. So Admiral Byrd was right. All the technology and research is the #1 place in the world for technology research is right down there in Antarctica. I believe that as the ice is melting, they're finding remnants of an ancient civilization. We know that Antarctica was not a frozen tundra. for 12 million years, like main scientists want you to. Mainstream science says 12 million years to build up all this ice. No, 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 that's not accurate. We know this because of the Perry-Reese map. The Perry-Reese map shows Antarctica, what it looked like without ice on it, and that's not even that old. So we know that Antarctica shifted into that spot. How? Because we know that Antarctica is surrounded by tectonic plates.
By the way, so he's basically talking about how the world back then used to be Pangea, and then the continents they slowly started shifting apart. This should show you, this should show you that ancient civilizations they knew way more than us, even though we think we have all the technology in the world. Back then, like this whole thing about you take like the disc, the flying disc. This flying disc can just fly without fuel, without just like anti-gravity. That's the technology that they had. So when Allah speaks about ancient civilizations like Ad, Thamud, Qawm Fir'aun, all these ancient people, Allah used to say like these people were way stronger. And they had knowledge of building things through mountains. They just had like crazy knowledge that we don't even have right now. So this should show you it's like the stuff in the Quran, because when most people read it, they're just like, oh, it's just fairy tales. Or it's just stories of people in the past. But no, bro, this is like the greatest history book that you can ever read.
Plates. And so that landmass was on a plate that slipped and there was something called a pole shift of the crust of the earth, which shifted it from a more habitable climate into the position it is now. And that's why the animals that are being uncovered from the ice were flash frozen with undigested food in their stomachs. And there's an entire advanced civilization there, including some of the largest pyramids on Earth, right in Antarctica. Like they make the one at Giza, the Great Pyramid, look like, a buggy, a dune buggy. I mean, these things are super massive. There's only a couple things we know. Like one of the pyramids is 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers at base.
Oh, wow.
The height is just, it's massive. It's way up there. Like, it's in the thousands of feet. But also, one former military person that was a source for Linda Moulton Howe, this was on a documentary she was in. She said that source told.
By the way, there was let me just show you something real quick. So pyramids in Antarctica, pyramids of underneath the pyramids. So there is a whole theory, right, that says that the pyramids, they're not actually what they look like. The pyramids, if you dig deep under them, what you're going to see is that they're basically just very, very long very long pillars. So for example, this picture right here. And this picture is going to open up an entire rabbit hole for you right now. Just trying to find like a good proper picture. Yeah, like this one. Let's just zoom in. So this one right here. This is such a horrible picture. Let's see, maybe this one. This is a good one. No, none of them are good. But anyway, so it looks like this, right? So from the bottom, as you can see right here, it's like this, but then underneath, if you dig very deep, it's like a pillar. So in Arabic, pillar is the awtad. And so Allah used to say in the Quran that Qawm Ad, that's al-awtad. So Ad had a lot of pillars, like they used to build pillars very easily. So what if they were the ones that built all these things? Because back in the day, like the world used to be in just one continent, right? They built all these things, and now it slowly started to like it started spreading apart. And now we're seeing pyramids like in different parts of the world. So how did different parts of the world know to build such like the same pyramids without even meeting each other? Which is insane. Like that is actually insane. And so what's the whole like purpose of pyramids? I told you like one of the purposes is free energy. Like if you put an element on the top right here, you'll be able to extract free energy from the ether, free energy from the atmosphere. This energy is always surrounding you, but most of us just don't know how to take it because most of us are not studying the true model of the world, of the earth, the true model of the world. And the true model of the world is that the sun and the moon, they go around each other. They swim around each other. So they just rotate. They swim in circles around each other, which was actually in the Quran. And so when you realize that, then you're just like, hold on a minute. So the sun and the moon, it's like a battery. One is positive, one is negative. And so you have the salt water, which provides the salt. And so the entire earth is like a battery. So then if if you build something to extract this energy that's around the earth, you'll be able to just gain free energy, free electricity, free energy basically. But nowadays, we're taking energy from like some stupid sources where we have to pay for it and all that stuff. When in reality, electricity should have never been this thing. Again, it's like if the entire world is abundance, electricity is also abundance.
Told her after going down there for research, I guess in private security, that it was still emitting some type of exotic energy, which is pretty interesting because that was the second time I heard a statement like that. The first time was on a documentary that came on Discovery Channel about the Bermuda Triangle when they found those pyramids off the coast of Cuba down there, all right, which is clearly scanned. Everybody knows that they exist. But this guy was taking he would get off the boat and take like a dinghy out to float to the center area. And he said the same thing. Some type of exotic energy was draining his batteries on his cameras. He had to try 3 times to get this thing recorded properly. He said exotic energy. And what's interesting is if you take a perfect line and draw it from the tip of the Bermuda Triangle, the center of the Bermuda Triangle, straight through the earth, you come out at the Yonaguni Pyramid at the Dragon's Triangle in Japan, which is also rumored to have disappearances and exotic energy and all this other crazy stuff. So in some way, these pyramid structures around the world are all linked with potentially portals of some type or energetic portals.
The Antarctica Treaty. Do you know about this?
By the way, when most people hear about the word portal, you might just think it's like this is just scientific fiction at this point. No, this is not scientific fiction. The fact that someone was able to think of such stuff, it means that such stuff actually exists. So having a portal where you go through a portal and then you teleport, this stuff is not, it's not fake. It's just, you've just never been exposed to it. There's actually even a lot of Sufi masters where they say they're able to be in 2 places at the same time, or they're able to teleport from one place to another just through the soul. So the first time you might hear that, you might say, nah, this is just, what the heck are you talking about? This is physically impossible. But let me tell you something. It's just that when you understand that the real you is the soul and not the body, then you understand that the soul is actually unlimited. Imagine like this is a bottle right here, right? If this bottle was like all dark, like it's not see-through, it's just dark. Within this bottle, there is light. If I take a pen, right? If I take a pen and then I poke a hole into this bottle, light is going to come out, right? From one hole. But then if I poke another hole in a whole different spot, light is going to also come out. So there's light here and then light here. The same light in 2 different places, in 2 different holes. So again, when you understand that the true you is just the light, you are the light, then you'll know it's like, wait a minute, now an entire world opens up to you where like your supernatural powers, you start to understand them. And then they start coming out. And don't be thinking, no, but this is, now you're getting into jinn stuff. This is not about jinn. This is about the human. This is about the soul of the human. Which is very interesting, by the way.
Yeah, that treaty was to allow peaceful collaboration of research and science down there. No war zone. You can actually go down there. There's a guy who's got a news show on my TV network called, his name is Brad Olson. It's called The Secrets of Antarctica. He went down there, and so we're documenting the whole thing. He went down there, he pulled up on the research facilities. He had to get approval to come on land. They wouldn't let him inside of the facilities, but he did get a chance to go down there. So people who say it's impenetrable and no human being could, no civilian can get there, that's actually not true. You actually can. It's very expensive and it's very taxing on the body, but you can get down there. And so it's pretty interesting. So that'll be coming out soon, but there's an opening next to these research facilities. And this is why I believe they made this treaty, this sharing of information treaty or whatever. There's a 30-meter wide opening there. You can see it on the Google Sky thing. And what's interesting, on Google Earth, I'm sorry. And when you look at it, like, what's in there? Now, why are they over here? And why are they so close to this gigantic opening? What's in there? And I think the answer is whatever Admiral Byrd came across, or whatever they're coming across, I think it's linked. I think there's a remnant of an ancient civilization in there that possibly is still there.
You know what? If you go and revisit the Quran and then you read about all the ancient civilizations, And then you understand it's like, wait a minute, these ancient civilizations were not just on the continents that we know of. This is going to open up your mind so much, so much. And so, again, it's like, this is why I say this is the seed for an entire rabbit hole. But then once you go on this rabbit hole, you'll eventually come back to knowing that it's like, again, it's like the soul is the perfect thing. Like you are the perfect thing. Which you might think is like, how does that relate to Antarctica? The world is unlimited, Habibi. So Allah did not create a limited world. Allah created an unlimited world. And Allah has also created you, which means that you are also unlimited because the world is a reflection of you. None are limited. This is unlimited and this is unlimited. So then when you're thinking within a box, you're thinking within the box of the body. But when you understand all this stuff, you get out of the body. And I'm not saying that in like the astral projection type of way. I'm just saying like your limitation is going to expand. So you slowly expand your limitation until you have no limitation anymore. You'll basically be unlimited in thoughts, unlimited in feelings, unlimited in everything, which is such a beautiful state to be in.
And they're in communication with them, in my opinion. Another thing that backs this up, I took a remote viewing course with Major Ed Dames.
Hold on, even this whole remote viewing thing, you might look at it and be like, nah, that's impossible. You can't even do that. Or some people are going to be like this, why do I even have to learn about such stuff? Because it's not even going to help me with going to Jannah or going to hell. Like, it's not going to help me prevent myself from hell. It's just knowing about all this stuff. By the way, I don't know if it's halal or haram, so don't ask me if it's halal or haram. I've never tried it. But just knowing that such stuff exists, again, is going to open up your limitations so much. And then when you go back to the Quran, now you'll read the Quran from a point of view of not of a limited being, not of someone who reads it and then you're like, this part of the Quran, I'm not going to believe in it because I don't think it relates to my physical mind at this moment. That's what most people do. They read about all the ancient civilizations in the Quran and they just think it's just past stories. You read anything within the Quran and you're just like, oh, you know what? This might not relate to me right now, so I'll just take the other stuff within the Quran. But when the more you learn about all this stuff, the more you're just like, bro, what the heck? Everything is in the Quran. All this stuff, like I've known about all this stuff from the past, and now I'm just realizing that, wait a minute, so this stuff is actually real? This stuff has always been real? That's insane. I mean, it's beautiful. It's not even insane.
Project Stargate, former CIA, United States. And his project was for remote viewing. So I took a course with him several years. He was my actual teacher, my direct.
By the way, when I'm saying all this stuff, I'm saying like when you see, for example, Prophet Jesus, how he was able to bring back the dead, or how he was able to create life, or how he was able to like bring food from the sky, or like Prophet Musa, how he was able to split the sea. Well, Allah did all of that, obviously, right? Or how Ibrahim, when he went to the fire, it all became cold. You might see that and think it's like, oh, it's just miracles. These are just miracles limited to prophets. But I'm telling you, it's not. I'm literally telling you it's not. Because again, it's like you're limited in your thoughts. You're limited in your thinking. And the only reason you're limited is because of the education that you were brought up in. I was brought up in the same education. But then with the more you learn about all this stuff, you're just like, there is no limitation. Miracles are actually normal.
Teacher. It wasn't like I was under some other people that worked with him. No, he was my direct teacher. His picture.
Sorry, hold on. The people of the cave, were they prophets or no? Ask yourself that. The people of the cave, they weren't prophets. How were they able to experience a miracle? Literally think of that. How were they able to experience a miracle? Maryam alayhi salam. Maryam was not a prophet, by the way. How was she able to experience a miracle? All of these people, like most people, by the way, in the Quran, they weren't prophets, but they were still able to experience miracles. How? Again, because miracles are normal. Just because it doesn't fit with your own physical mind right now, the one that has been brought up with like a limited education, does not mean that all of this stuff is fake.
Of me with this man. And he told me that there's beings that have easy and free access to come and go as they please from Antarctica. At one of these classes, class was over. It was like a 10-hour class. We were just sitting around talking, having a casual.
So now listen, when he's telling you there are beings that used to come from Antarctica whenever they want and all that stuff, doesn't that make you think of like the Queen of Saba, Queen Balqis, the one in Yemen, at the time of Prophet Sulaiman? Prophet Sulaiman, which is not even that far off, by the way. Like the time of Prophet Sulaiman is not even that far off from our world right now. They were saying the Queen of Saba, she was like half jinn, half human. So when you hear such stuff like that, most people when they hear such stuff, they're just like, "Oh, bro, this Islam thing, this Quran thing, I kind of don't believe it," just because it's like it's talking about things that are outside of physical nature. And then some people they start disbelieving in it because of their own mind, because their own mind is like physically limited. But when you understand, wait a minute, there's like beings that are able to like teleport, that are able to go and bring a throne from a whole different city all the way to another city in the span of a blink. When you realize such stuff exists, you're just like, what the heck? So if such stuff is like unlimited, I'm also unlimited. Why? Because I've been created by the same creator. Such beautiful things, man.
Conversation. He told me a few other things, but that was one of the things that kind of stood out. And he says they come and go as they please because nobody can stop them.
Are you familiar with the bell?
The Nazi bell, the Die Glock?
Yes.
Yeah. The Die Glock is an amazing device that was being developed by the Nazis during World War II. This Die Glock, again, technology that they learned about through an advanced civilization that they were in communication with through the Thule Society. This Thule, Thule, Thule Society, they were using psychics to channel information from an advanced alien race. And they were taking this knowledge and then turning it into actual real workable technology. And so they had this thing in Germany called the henge, where they had these gigantic stone pillars in the shape of a henge. And they had the Die Glock in the middle. It looked like an acorn, a UFO type, but an acorn-shaped UFO. And it had these multi-counterclockwise spinning pieces on it that was spinning all different ways. The ultimate purpose of it seems to have been some type of time travel. And this thing at one point, based on eyewitness accounts, it's turned on and activated, and it disappeared from the hinge. It was seen like, I forget how many decades later. I think it crashed somewhere in Virginia or something, according to these accounts. I got to look that up to make sure I'm not making a mistake there. But it reappeared later, and it crashed somewhere, I believe, in the Americas. And this thing was the same exact shape and description as the Die Glock. And what was it for? I believe that they were trying to tap into time travel so that they can go back in time.
Time travel, right? There are people right now, like scientists, by the way, that attack Islam by saying Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't ascend to the heavens and come down in the span of like a moment. There's people on TV, you've probably seen that. I forgot who, but they were like this Richard Dawkins, whoever that chode was. He was making fun of a Muslim guy. He's like, "Do you really believe in that stuff? Like, do you actually really believe in that stuff? Like, your prophet ascended and he came down? What are you talking about?" They use that kind of tone. When in reality, again, this is not even that far off from what we have right now. I'm saying what we have right now is like time travel, remote viewing, teleporting, all these things. These things are real. All of these things are real. Does that mean you have to go and do it? No, it doesn't mean you have to go and do it, obviously, but it just shows you like most of the stuff that you've been taught, when you don't understand something, you reject it and then you get scared of it. You start labeling it things because when you're not understanding it. But then when you understand how it works, you're just like, whoa, what the heck? Now I'm actually understanding it. Now I'm getting it. Like it makes a lot of sense. So Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam going to the sky and then coming back in the span of like less than a second and experiencing a bunch of things, that thing is literally more real than your physical nature. And then what's so crazy is when you die, I feel like that's when you'll understand like, wait, all of this stuff is finally real. But why are you trying to wait until you die and then you understand that all of this stuff is real? Just learn about it right now and then realize that there is no limitation for you. The only limitation for you is the one that you've put upon yourself. So this is why when most of you hear my stuff and then I say you can create your own reality, you can attract things that can come to you, most of the time you say, no, that's false. Allah has already written your reality. You can't do such stuff. But I'm telling you right now, like, the only reason why you're rejecting it is because you're not understanding it. And you're not taking the time to come and understand it. But in reality, all of this stuff is real. And alhamdulillah that it's real.
and change the past so they can have a Nazi dominant future. You see, they want to alter realities. The only problem with going back in time they didn't take into consideration is that if you go back in time, you can't alter the future reality that you existed in on the same timeline. Because when you go back in time, you shift into a different alternate timeline altogether, allowing you to go back in time in the first place and see even yourself. So it's like the grandfather paradox, right? If you go back in time and kill your grandfather, how in the world were you born to go back in time to kill your grandfather? Well, the answer is you shift into an alternate timeline. Now, going into the future, you stay on the same timeline. We know this because time travel into the future happens every day. Even when you get on an airplane, you travel into the future based on relativity. The person standing still on the ground and you moving across the sky in a plane, we know that you're moving forward in time by microns of tenths of a second, but you're moving in time. Same thing with astronauts when they travel into space. We know for a fact that because they're traveling at high speeds, they come back, microns of a second younger than us. So traveling to the future, you can stay on the same timeline, but going into the past, you can't. So that whole thing would have failed anyway.
Please engage with.
It's very, very interesting stuff, man. Again, I might see comments of people saying, why are you getting into so much of this conspiracy theory stuff? Why are you talking about flat Earth? Why are you talking about Antarctica now? Why are you talking about all this? You might say dumb stuff. The only reason why I'm talking about this is because it's not. There's nothing. There's nothing that's limited here, bro. There's literally nothing that's limited here. And just knowing about all this is going to open up your mind so much to more things, and just makes you realize there's way more. There's literally way more. So stop being stuck in your own world, being, oh, is this going to help me make money? Is this going to help me pay my bills? Is this going to help me with my own little world? Expand your world. Because the moment that you expand your world, that's the moment that everything that you're doing within your world is also going to be expanded. So that's when you start to get the quality of one of the 99 names of Allah, which is Al-Wasi', which is the one that's like the expanded. So the more you expand your awareness into the world and realize there's way more stuff that's happening within the world that you have no knowledge about, the more you're just like, wait, there's a lot that I don't know about. But then slowly, the more you start learning, the more that you'll be able to just expand more of your own world. So like even making money, this is going to help you make more money. Even your salah, when you're praying your salah, when you know that like for example, when I used to pray my salah, I'm like, salah is just physical. Like I'm just doing it physical and that's it. But then I realized I'm like, wait, there's just way more than just the physical. For example, you know when you're doing your wudu, right? I learned that if you don't wipe the water off, and then you come and then you pray with the water still on your skin, if I noticed that I tried both, right? When I wipe it off and when I don't wipe it off. When I wipe it off, I noticed that the feeling of the salah, like you don't feel as spiritually high. But then when you don't wipe it off and then you pray, you feel so spiritually high. And I was like, why is that? And then I learned more about water, like just learning more about water. And then I'm like, wait, water is not from this world. Water is beyond time and space. Water is beyond even atoms. So then when you learn about water and you're just like, I can actually affect water through my state of being, then you're like, wait, so if I pray with water stuck onto me, like I didn't wipe it off, and then slowly by itself it goes through your skin, what you're doing is that you're getting spiritually high, so the water that's on you also gets spiritually high, and then it gets absorbed, so it's almost like a double effect. Literally, go and try it by yourself. You'll see the effect immediately. So this should just show you. And for example, also when people say, if you're sick, and then you take water, and then recite few ayat on it, maybe Surah Fatiha, and then blow on it like that, and then drink it. When most people hear that in Islam, they're just like, what are you talking about? This doesn't work. But in reality, it does work. Because again, water is beyond time and space. So water has memory. This stuff you're not taught in school, by the way. You just learn that water is H2O and that's it. You never learn that water has memory. Water is getting affected by your state of being. So then when you recite Surah Fatiha and then you affect the water from using the words of Allah, and then you drink it, and it's going to nourish every single cell of your body, just doing that is going to heal you from disease. And then you might think, nah, this stuff doesn't work, bro, because it doesn't fit into my own mind that was formed from the education of whoever. I don't want to say whoever. Do you know what I mean? Like it's gonna expand your world so much. For example, Muhammad ﷺ said that if you eat 7 dates in the morning, seven, I think it was ajwa dates in the morning, you're saved from magic. Why is that? How does that work? He also said that before he goes to sleep, he recites Surah Al-Mulk and I think Surah Sajda as well. Why is that? And then why is it that you have to recite Surah Al-Kahf every single Friday? Why is there all these things right here? Why is there? So the more you learn about this, also talk about Surah Al-Kahf. How is it that Dhul Qarnayn, like he was able to go, like he was able to go on like the, I forgot what it was, like the east and the west. I completely forgot what it was. But like read about Dhul Qarnayn. What was it that Allah was truly talking about? Because then when you don't know about all this stuff, and also the two seas that meet, what are these two seas? These two seas are not the seas that you see on here. I'm gonna show you, bro. This is so silly. The two seas that meet. Those two seas, right? Allah's not talking about this sea and this sea. Allah's talking about two seas. One is salty, one is not salty. These are both salty, habibi. They're both salty. Just because they don't mix, it doesn't mean that the ayah was talking about these two. Allah's talking about two seas. One is salty, one is not salty. They meet, but they don't mix. So what is it that Allah's talking about? Again, the more you learn about all this stuff right here, learn about Antarctica, learn about flat Earth, learn about space, learn about astral projection, learn about remote viewing, learn about all these things. The more you learn about them, the more you're just like, wait a minute. This world is unlimited. My soul is unlimited. Allah is so merciful that Allah is constantly expanding. Constantly expanding. So this is such beautiful knowledge. And I'm hoping you see the beauty, because don't just be thinking, saying, this won't help me because this doesn't fit with the Quran and the Sunnah. Does scrolling on TikTok help you? Does constantly being stressed about stupid stuff help you? Does watching TV shows help you? Does eating chips and cake and all this dumb stuff help you? It doesn't. Learn knowledge, Habibi. That's what's gonna help you. So I'm hoping this was helpful. If it was, man, just let me know.